think I'd be able to time that intro by now, wouldn't you? Hello, everybody. Welcome along to the afternoon rabble. Ash, would you just like to explain to everybody why we're late so that I don't get it in the neck?
So, guys, welcome to the evening rabble because it's taken us that long to get online. My laptop's died, so I'm having to use a different computer. So apologies about the weird angle. And I finally got my laptop working, but it's now got the blue screen of death saying we've ran into a problem. So I have no idea what's going to happen there, but that's a problem for after the pod. So my apologies for making you fine folk wait.
I'm getting it already. I'm getting it already. You can tell Martin was a bus driver, always late.
If I'm honest, it's actually all Martin's fault, but he asked me to take the blame, so I'm glad you guys have seen through that.
Away you go. Martin, going back later to get your hair finished. Aye, so as soon as this afternoon rabble's done, I'm going straight to the hairdressers. But anyway, yeah, on the show today, I mean, there's a couple of snippets out there, folks, so this could be a slightly shorter rabble, unless I've got some decent comments. But Fiorentina interested in Raskin, apparently, along with Marseille and a few other clubs. Cyril Dessers looks as if he's inching closer and closer to his move to AEK Athens. And we ask, what is more important, the defence or the attack going into the new season? Ash, barring being late, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. Had a busy few weeks at work, so I feel like I've been quite out of touch with what's been going on in the world of Rangers. So looking forward to getting back into it and having a chat. I listened to your rabble this morning. It was good. I had quite a good few calls come in, so that was nice.
You could have phoned you could have phoned in, but you never bothered.
Well, you did say I don't want any of my guys to phone. I want members to phone, so I resisted the temptation. I thought I'd keep the chat for this afternoon.
Actually, that's a fair point. That's actually a fair point. I'll give you that. Right, okay, let's dive into it then. Something that we did speak about this morning, actually, and like you say, a couple of callers phoned up about it. Nico Raskin. Now, again, I don't know how much truth's in it, but apparently, Ash, Fiorentina are interested, and this is going to be clipped. I know it is. 30 million euros. Fiorentina are looking to buy Nico Raskin for, if you believe the rumours. And I said this to Brian, who follows Italian football quite closely. Fiorentina don't spend that kind of money on players, do they?
Not nowadays. I mean, I remember the Fiorentina of, Rui Costa and Batistuta, where they were basically, that football show. I'm not going to do the opening scene, but everyone will remember it. Go Lazio. They were top gravy on that. I used to watch it just for them alone. They used to be quite a big club. I still think they are. I mean, they've got the likes of De Gea, as Brian mentioned earlier. But no, if he was going to go to Serie A for that kind of money, you would have expected it to be to one of the traditional bigger clubs who obviously are competing in Europe and at the top of the Champions League, etc. So it would be a great move for him if he was able to do that, and it would be a fantastic transfer fee for us to take in on a player that we spent £1 million on to bring in. So from our point of view, I would absolutely take that, but I don't see him going to Fiorentina, to be honest. I think he might end up potentially in England or maybe France. France would be a good fit for him potentially as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm still of the opinion I don't want him to go. Ash, I want him to stay. Are you hearing a weird echo in your ear, or is it just me?
I'm not. No, hopefully the listeners aren't. They'll tell us if they are. Sorry, guys.
I would imagine this is what it sounds like. We're in a studio and somebody's talking in your ear. It's just going buzz, 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 buzz.
I don't think that. So you're having IT issues too? Oh, great. We're off to a brilliant start this afternoon.
Listen, it's the most professional Rangers show out there by a country mile.
Clearly.
Unbeaten in professionalism is what this is. But no, I want him to stay, Ash. I think if we're going to be successful this season, we need to have the best players available to us. And I think he's certainly one of our best players. I would love him to stay, but I'm under no illusions that if we get a decent bid, I mean, Marseille have probably got a few quid to throw about. And as Scott said on the phone in this morning, it's not as if it's, all right, 30 million, there's the 30 million. It's installments.
Yeah, and I think we have been, not to be negative, but we have been starved of players to love in recent years. There's not been many icons or legends, and would it not just be so Rangers to finally have him hit a bit of form and show the kind of player that we thought he was when we brought him in? Now he's part of the Belgian squad and he loves it here. You can tell that he genuinely wants to win here. And it's a shame if he does go that he's not been able to go with a bit of fanfare and a trophy above his head. So that will always be quite gutting for me. But on the flip side, I think the contract situation necessitates that if a good offer comes in, you have to take it unless you'll sign another deal, which I don't think is realistic. You know, he's got that. I heard you guys talking earlier. He's got that clause in his contract that he earns some of the transfer fee potentially this summer if he does go after Rangers sell him. He's obviously financially very shrewd. I can't see his agent telling him take another contract in Scotland when there's some top 5 league team sniffing around. So if somebody comes in, I think he will go, to be honest.
I suppose the one good thing we've got in our pocket is that it's been shown that even though he plays in the SPL or SPFL, whatever you want to call it these days, it's not going to stop him getting picked for his country, which I think is big for us. That could be a tool that we could use. Look, Nico, don't go yet. Stay another season, help us win a trophy, do well in Europe, etc., etc. And then when a team in a top 5 league comes in that you know you're going to be playing, because it's all very well and good leaving for what we perceive as big money, right? But clubs down south and wherever, 30 million is a drop in the ocean. He needs to be careful for his next move, Ash, because he doesn't want to go somewhere and no play.
No, I completely agree with you. And if, you know, I knew he was a good player. He's shown that the last few months at Rangers, but I think he's surpassed even my expectations with the national team. You know, he's gone in and pretty much straight away become a key player. And you've got the manager coming out, you know, name dropping him pretty much after every game that he's involved in. So his star is definitely on the rise. My only hesitation is that as much as he loves it here, he was quite open from the minute he arrived. His goal was to get a move. I think Chelsea was the team that he referenced. But he's a boy that is ambitious and wants to get to the very, very top. And you never know in football. He's had a really difficult few years with niggling injuries. You know, say he doesn't go this summer, something could happen, you know, over the course of the season that maybe robs him of the chance to take that next step. So I think I love him too. He's my favourite player at the moment. I think I'd love to see him stay. But if I take my kind of heart out of it, probably for him and for the club, it's the right thing to move on. But where I do see the kind of long-term benefit is that not the story you tell every potential signing that you talk to? If you're Kevin Thelma, you say, look at Nico Raskin, came to Rangers, played in Scotland, wasn't part of the most successful Rangers team, but look, ended up representing his country and got a big move to a top 5 league. So I think he'll help us in terms of future recruitment, but I don't think he'll help us on the pitch next year.
That's actually a really good point about future recruitment, because we've not been great at that, at bringing players in and then letting them go. And even the ones that have went to decent leagues like Bassey initially, Ajax did not have a great time.
No.
Really struggled in that Ajax team, albeit he's went and rebuilt himself with Fulham in England and he's doing brilliant. And I want 4 cans and Bassey back, if I'm being honest. Nathan Patterson didn't really hit the heights at Everton, very injury prone. Joe Aribo went down to Southampton, done okay. We've not had a player, Ash, that's left us and went to a bigger league, and really kind of outshone and performed well.
No, and that maybe speaks to your point about maybe you use that as a cautionary tale to Raskin to say, look, the next move you take has to be the right move, because the likes of Bassey, I mean, he was completely written off after a really tough period at Ajax. And now, you know, every time I watch Match of the Day, there he is tearing it up. So, yeah, that's something to factor into as well. But I think that probably leads into the wider conversation is as a club, we've not got the best reputation of flipping players at the right time. And I do think, not to take the conversation off track, but the likes of Egerman, conversation around him at the moment, that there is this groundswell of opinion. And I do understand that to say, look, you take the money on the table for Egerman because it's such a profit for us to make. And for too long, we haven't taken the offers, the right offers when it came. But I think that that's really linked to the scar tissue we've got from the likes of Kent and Alfie, where we were so reluctant to sell, even though clearly it was the right time to do it, that the board just didn't want to lose the player. We held on to them for too long and we were burned. But what you don't want to do is flip too much the other way, where you panic sell. The likes of Egerman, you get a good offer this summer and you take it. But actually, if you think about it, if you build the team around him next season, what's the offer going to be next year if he continues to develop? It's just about having that kind of strength to say, no, actually, yeah, we get 15 million this year, but we could probably make 30 next year if he keeps going the way he's going. So it is a delicate balance, and I trust that these guys will look at it from a business perspective and make the right decision.
This is probably a conversation for another month's time or whatever, right? But it's just popped into my head, so I'm going to ask it. In terms of player recruitment this year, we know that there's more funds coming into the football club, etc., etc. I don't know if they're going to lift the wage cap or the wage budget so we can bring in better players or whatever. Do you think it matters that much this season in terms of just purely attracting players and bringing them in? Rangers making it to the Champions League, or would you hope that by the time those qualifiers come round, we've got the majority of the players in the door that we want to have in? Or do you think the club will be waiting? We'll bring in some, obviously, but do you think the club will be waiting to find out whether we're in the Champions League or not?
I think the old regime, that was part of the thinking. I don't think with these guys it will be. I think they'll be thinking long term. Get into the Champions League, obviously the riches on offer. We don't need to talk about. Everybody knows that it is a budget game changer, but actually we've already had a bit of a financial game changer with the investment these guys have made into the club. So I think they will look at building the squad for this year, next year, the year after. I don't think they'll be pushed into splurging the cash to make a run at making the Champions League, because I think what they'll see is if we get the building blocks this year, actually making the Champions League in future years we can possibly do on a consistent basis. There's no way, just with the timeline, that we're going to have the squad that we want when we go into these qualifiers. It's just not going to happen. We're running out of time for that. The players are back for pre-season, I think, about 10 days' time. So at best, we're going to have one or two players. But the squad that we start the domestic season with,
10 days?
20th of June. Yeah. So I hope to see some movement, but no, as I say, the squad we start the domestic season with will not be the squad that takes these qualifiers on, which is a shame, but was always likely to happen given the length of time it took us to make the managerial appointment. That ate into that window.
Well, George is asking, does the panel think? Not really. Not really, to be honest with you.
Do you mean as a general rule, George, or just specifically about Rangers?
I think just in general, does the panel think? I don't think so. I can't remember the last time I had an original thought, to be brutally honest with you. There was obviously a question in there, George. I don't know what it was. If you can get it back up, my friend, I will try and bring it up for you. Just in terms of players leaving Rangers and not doing great, well, Paul saying Arteta and Gattuso did all right. Yeah, but how long ago was that? You know, I mean, all right, Gattuso did okay, went on to kind of, win the Champions League and the World Cup and the league and that. So Gattuso done well. Arteta,
Van Bronckhorst as well. Van Bronckhorst you throw into that discussion too. He did well when he left.
I mean, he only won the few Champions Leagues with Barcelona, and did he get to a World Cup semi-final? But again, how long ago was that? Multiple man, Kamara did well at Leeds. Where is he now? How long did he last at Leeds?
But that's actually a really interesting point, because if you think about Glenn Kamara, we sold him for £5 million. If we'd sold him the season before, we'd probably made 10 or 12. And yet after a season at Leeds, he goes for 10. So this is where I think we get into this situation where we don't want to panic sell players we've currently got of value just to try and bring the transfer fee. And I think sometimes you need to pick the right time to do it. And that's where I think the old board made a mistake. But I trust that Kevin Thelwell and stuff will look at it much more from a helicopter point of view, if that makes sense, and they'll make the right decision for the club long term.
Yeah, just Trev, member for 15 months. Why am I dressed in a pink firefighter's outfit, Douglas? Ash, go to the WhatsApp group. Go to the WhatsApp group and I'll tell you all. Aribo done well. Bassey definitely excelled. Bassey did eventually go on to excel. I think he's excelling at Fulham. I think he's a cracking player, brilliant. Aribo he's done okay. Ash. It's not been world changing, has it?
No, and I don't watch a lot of Southampton games, being quite honest, but from what I've seen, I don't think he was played in the centre of midfield. I think he came on a lot as a sub. I think at one point he was playing right back or centre back. And I think that kind of talks to his character, because he's the kind of impression I get, he's the kind of guy that will do anything for the team. But I don't think he's been given the chance to thrive at Southampton. So that's one that's maybe not worked out. But I still think he'll have a decent career, whether that's back at us, as some people would wish, or perhaps at another championship club.
I don't know if this is going to work, right?
You're going to
I
try and play
hope
it?
it's going to work. Maybe. Now, there is no sound to it. It's a GIF. So that's the best I've got.
That's usually a Saturday night outfit. What's he doing wearing it during the week?
Do you know what the thing is? Do you know what the sad, scary thing is? It actually suits it.
I didn't want to say that, but you're right. It's pink is his colour. He looks cracking.
It absolutely suits that. That is cracking by the way, Trev. All right, one more time. I mean, there he is, finger up, talking away, happy days. Boom! Look at me now. I'm Trev. Oh,
I
brilliant.
would
Brilliant.
love to know the context of that conversation. I feel like that might be an offline conversation to be had, but that looks interesting.
I've got no idea what the context is behind that. I just know that I wanted to put it out to as many people as I possibly could. Stephen Robertson, thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. I would say I hope the weather's nice in Australia, but it's probably like midnight over there, isn't it? Or whatever the time difference is. Tell Russell Martin to sign your brother, Martin. Too many Martins. Yeah, I don't think he's quite ready for Rangers level yet. And plus, he's just signed a new contract with Peter Reid, and anybody who
Fantastic.
plays Football Manager knows that as soon as you sign a contract with a club, a player will not negotiate with you. Even if you're Real Madrid and they're Berwick Rangers, they will not negotiate. So
need to give it 6 months. Come back in January, have a chat with him.
Come back in January maybe, but he's happy at Peterhead. So Russell Martin's going to really need to talk him round.
Congrats to him though, getting another contract. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I could have when I was younger, but I just.
Okay. What did pod instead?
I didn't start doing this until I was in my late 20s, early 30s. But aye. What does Trev really do for work? Full Monty. Brilliant, super.
Is there not the potential, Martin, to have a live show at some point? Maybe Trev could provide some entertainment. I don't know. That's just one to throw out there to just think about.
The problem is, I think he only hired the firefighter outfit.
Maybe we could all chip in as members. We could all put a few quid in and see if we can get him an outfit.
I mean, if Trev's willing to do it, 100%. Stephen, thank you very much for the support, my friend. It is greatly appreciated. A comment, I couldn't figure that word out there. A comment for Paul. Turgeman's team apparently want 5 million for him. We offered 4. Should we just pay the 5 and get it done? See, with stuff like this, I never understand this, Ash, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get £1 million is a lot of money, right? To me and you, mere mortals, maybe not you,
Absolutely.
right? But to me, mere mortal, £1 million, a lot of money, right? But see, in the context of football, right? I get there's haggling and you want to get as low a price as you can. See, if it's £1 million, just pay it.
Yes, 100%. In particular for this player, I think Turgeman, I am really, really excited about the prospect of him coming in. I get the club that he's playing for want to make top dollar, and they're going to want, they'll have probably loyalty bonuses to pay and all that kind of stuff, maybe other fees in the contract, so they'll want to make as much money as possible. But if you're Rangers and you've identified that he's the guy, he's one of the guys you want to lead the line, just go and pay the £1 million and get on with it. I mean, hopefully we'll cover the cost of that with the sale of Dessers, so it just makes complete sense. Let's not haggle over money like that if you think this guy at 21 is going to be our player for the next 3 or 4 years. Just get the transfer dealt with.
Was that Trev's loft outfit? Yes, it absolutely was.
Never been, can't comment, but there are rumours.
Yes. So you said you're excited about Turgeman. I've never seen him, Ash. I don't really know that much about him. I know that you're like a mad football addict and you watch football. You're the kind of person to be up at 3 a.m. watching the Senegalese league. If
Possibly.
you
could. If it was a title decider, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Have you seen much of him?
So I have to be honest and just say that it's been the YouTube loyal. I've looked at a few videos over the last couple of weeks, so I don't claim. I've only seen the best of him. The same way that if I saw Desser's highlight reel, I'd say Rangers sign him for 20 million quid. But no, I think he has all of the assets to be really good for us. He's got the kind of physical athleticism. He's good in the air. He's quick, but he's also very technical, and he's got a little bit of arrogance about him when you see the way he takes players on and the things that he tries. I think he would be honestly a fantastic signing at 21 to have the number of games under his belt that he does. He's played in the Europa League. He's done a little bit in the Conference League as well. He's scored goals. I 100% he's one I would be signing for 4 or 5 million quid. It would be a very, very good investment for us.
Yeah, well, beat Bob Boop saying I'm a big fan of Turdsman, best player in Israel, and a great guy as well in interviews. Again, I've never seen a single second of him playing, so I'm not going to sit here and go, "Oh, I'm buzzing about it," because I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
The interesting thing would be if he does come in and Hamza stays. How does that work? Because the reason you'd keep Hamza is to make him number one striker. And Beat Bop, he probably obviously watches the games more than I do, but I do think that Turgeman can come in off the right or left as well. So actually maybe him and Hamza could complement each other and kind of rotate in game and move around a bit. I'm not saying that's their best position, but that maybe gives us some options there. So, I mean, if we go into next season with Turgeman and Hamza and maybe Danilo if we can't sell him, I'm pretty excited about that front line.
Well, it's actually Beat Bop Boop. So you need to work on that.
I'm still reeling from my IT issue, Beat Bop Boop. I'm very sorry to have miscalled you there.
JD saying, I don't think we'd guess between Danilo and Dessers when they first came in that Dessers would be the one scoring 50 goals in 2 seasons, which kind of brings me to my next point. So I do want to touch on Igaman as well, because big conversation in the group chat about Dessers leaving. Is that a good thing? Is that would be something falling off the wall, and I just absolutely bricked it. Is Igaman staying? Is that the right thing to go with just Igaman and etc. But you mentioned Danilo there. How much of a worry is Danilo for you going forward? Because £6 million is a big outlay for us, and he's not played much football.
No, and I've kind of been a Danilo defender during the season. I still think that Igaman played his best football when Danilo played with him, because I think Danilo does effectively what Dessers struggles to do, and that's move defenders around and give them something to think about. I think Dessers at times can be too static or just too physical and get into a battle with a defender who just eats it up in the SPFL. But as much as I wanted Danilo to work, I think if you can get any sort of transfer fee for him close to what we paid for him and get his wage off the book, then for me, you have to take it. Am I really upset?
Who's going to buy him? He's been out injured for a season. Who's going to buy him?
Exactly, and that Paul's point's a really good one. Maybe it's a case of you get him out on loan just to get the wages off of the wage bill. But we'll have to replace him. If we sell Dessers, we keep Hamza on, Danilo goes out, we have to at least get another couple of strikers in. And without that transfer fee back from Danilo, we're kind of in the red there. So I would prefer to sell him, but you're right that the suitors for him at a value that would be good value for us will be really, really low. So actually, if we bring Turgeman in, maybe it's best to keep Danilo for another season to complement the other two and see if that as a 3 works. It'd be quite an exciting front line, I think. Give us a few different options. But there's no doubt Danilo's career at Rangers has been really disappointing. Nowhere near what we thought he'd be. When first few games he looked good, and he's just never performed to that level.
No, but the thing with Danilo is he has scored goals as well, Can I just say, by the way, everybody watching on YouTube, if you could give the show a like, if you like, and if you don't like it, just give it a like anyway, because it's a nice thing to do. Subscribe as well, share it about, and of course, if you want to join us at 10 o'clock every morning, Monday to Friday, and get you and have your say on the morning phone in, then become a member. Links are in the description. Live shows are on YouTube, and all the members' content is uploaded onto Patreon for your listening pleasure on your audio devices. I think it's difficult, Ash, in terms of what we're going to do striker-wise, because Igaman is now attracting attention apparently from the likes of Lens, Leo, Rennes, Strasbourg, according to the BBC, Brentford, Everton, West Ham, according to Football Insider. So there's a few teams apparently chasing Igaman. But the bigger question for me is, have we seen enough from him, right, in the times that he's started, that we can sell Dessers, get rid of the Dessers goals, bring in another striker to play alongside him? Is he ready?
Yes, in my opinion. you look at his stats last season. I know he had a bit of a rough patch and his form dipped a little bit, but I do think that's partly because Danilo got injured and he and Danilo were working well together, and Dessers just doesn't offer the same style of play that Danilo does that I think suits Igaman. Igaman was put out wide, or he was asked to drop back a little bit to play in behind Dessers, which I don't think is his strong point. He scored the same number of goals for us as he did in Morocco in less games with less minutes in a tougher league, when he's basically had to come here and learn the culture, the language. He's been surrounded by chaos because, let's face it, last season was a bit of a farce, and yet he's still pulled out some really big moments for us. I think he's got all the talent in the world. I think he needs a proper coach, and I don't mean that rudely to Clement, but I think he needs to be coached. I think he needs to be told he's the main man, being given the opportunity to play through his rough patches, because I think he got a bit of a rough ride with Barry at the end where he was out the team, and he probably should have been starting those games to give him a bit more experience. But no, I think his trajectory is only up. You look at where he's come from in the last 18 months, where's he going to be 18 months from now? So I definitely would be hanging my hat on him being our number one striker, but you do still need options in behind him. And it can't just be Dessers and Danilo. We need to freshen that up a little bit. So that's where you go to Toursman, in my opinion. I think would be fantastic.
I love how you say it correctly. Toursman.
Is that right? I'm just guessing.
I don't know. It sounds better than Turge, doesn't it? It sounds better than Turgeman, I suppose.
What about T-Man? Call him T-Man. That's the way to go.
T-Man. You were born in the 80s, weren't you?
I was. Late 80s, not too early. Just.
No, but I'm not trying to guess your age. I'm just saying.
First you said I was short, now you're saying I'm old. Jeez, oh.
But I was only pointing out a fact that you're short.
Yes, that's fair. Moving on, back to the pod.
Do you know, I completely forgot about this guy. Cortez will rip it up this year. Ash, I totally forgot about him.
Isn't that quite concerning when we've just parted with £4 million for him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I hope so. Jock Blue, I hope you're spot on. I'd love to see him do well. When he first came in, I thought, yes, a proper out-and-out winger, goes past players, pacey, direct. This is exactly what we need. And then he just fell off a cliff, and then obviously the injuries haven't helped. So let's hope with Russell Martin he gets a good run, he gets a good pre-season, he stays fit, which is the big question. And listen, in a Russell Martin system where it is about being direct and it is about finding the spare man, etc., maybe he'll do well. But he has to be, he has to be fit. He has to be available for Martin to pick. Either way, he's here this season. We know that. Let's hope we see something different from him.
Rangers put in turgid performance. I can just see the headline. Sorry, that's all I was thinking about while you were speaking there. Was like, if he comes and he misses an easy shot and Celtic beat us 1-0, it'll be Rangers put in turgid performance.
I'm glad that you want to look at the positives of his potential transfer. It's a good start. Poor guy.
If Dessers goes, Ash, does that mean that Igaman 100% stays? I mean, obviously, there's a long list of clubs interested in him. I know every team in Scotland's a selling club.
Yeah.
To be fair, but if we let Dessers go for the 3 or 4 million or whatever it is AEK are offering, does it matter what bid we get for Igaman? Does he stay?
I mean, I said earlier about I wouldn't sell him, and you don't want to panic sell. However, there are limits to that. If somebody comes in with 25 million quid or whatever, I think regardless of who we've got in the club, the regime may take it, just because that's a huge sum. And realistically, you're not going to get a £30 million player coming out of Scotland, or not very often. I don't think anyone's done that yet. Possibly, hopefully not, but I could be wrong. So I don't know if the Dessers and Igaman thing is linked, to be honest. I think Dessers is definitely gone if we get a bid for him. I think Igaman, it'll depend on the financials of the deal. But I like the fact that we're looking in the background to get other strikers lined up so that we can move quickly, depending on what we do. But either way, I don't think we'll have the same 3 strikers that we do at the moment. I think we'll be changed there this summer.
Quite possibly. Lyndon stealing my joke? No. You stole a membership, Lyndon. I stole no jokes. And by the way, he got a free membership and he's not even been on any of the morning rabbles, the morning phone-ins.
Missing out, Lyndon. You made the most of it.
He's just very ignorant, as Lyndon. He's almost as bad as Charles, to be honest with you. That's the 2 that I've got my on. If we ever do a live show, I'm going to make sure that they attend, just so I can
In the
get my
front
missus
row.
to shout at them.
And then give you pelters. We'll need to organise that. That's a good shout.
Never had a soul to begin with, London. Nothing to steal. So there you go. Ash, thank you very much.
Not at all, thank you. Eventually got here.
I'm very conscious that most people are working, because we could have probably went for about another hour there. But we shall leave it there. Please do leave a like on whatever platform you're watching this on, Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. Make sure that you're subscribed as well. Make sure you follow us. I think we're racing towards 4,000 followers on Facebook. We're about 180, 190 away from 14,000 on the old YouTube as well. So make sure that you get subscribing there. And I'm glad you asked, Beep, right? There is another show tonight. It has been pre-recorded. It is the Rabble Report. It is ENT 1000 and Posh Stewart, spelt with a U. That will be out tonight at 7 p.m. I will make it a premiere so that when you watch it, you can all have a chat in the live comments. But it has been pre-recorded, because the last time I done this and I put something out pre-recorded and I put it as a premiere, folk were complaining because they didn't think the guys were reading the comments. Well, they weren't there. So there is another show tonight, 7 p.m. Rabble Reports. Half of the show's about Rangers, and the other half of the show is about the FIFA Club World Cup. And I believe it could get the Rabble closed down, apparently, according to ENT. But there we go, folks. Check out the memberships and the Rabble shop as well. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. And as I always say, every day we shall speak. That rhymed there, didn't it? As I always say, every day.
That was smooth, honestly.
That was poetry.
It was like, you're just top level now. Just honestly.
Do you know what? I'm actually really proud of myself for that poetry. We shall speak, folks, very, very soon.